Thanks, Wendell. The budget director is also trying to sidestep criticism over an environmental policy which he and the president admit will result in higher energy costs for consumers. Chief Washington correspondent Jim Engel looks at cap and trade.
Almost every activity in the U.S. economy emits carbon dioxide, but President Obama wants to impose a cap on total emissions throughout the economy and charge industry a new tax of at least $65 billion a year for their current activities.
There's an overall limit on pollution that's set for the economy. Then each company has to purchase an allowance that allows them to emit some pollution.
The emission permits would be sold at auction, putting a price on emissions in hopes of creating a financial incentive to find alternatives.
Companies that can reduce their emissions more have to buy fewer allowances.
But even candidate Obama conceded during the campaign that plan would hit consumers hard.
Under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
Skyrocket, he explained, because utilities, especially coal, would have to pay an enormous price up front while they search for ways to reduce emissions.
They would have to retrofit their operations. That will cost money. They will pass that money on to consumers.
Several analysts confirm the president's prediction and say the increases in utility costs will be steep.
In dollar cost terms, probably an additional $700 to $1,400 per family per year, starting around 2012.
Which is why President Obama would redirect some of the $646 billion tax increase to help people of modest incomes pay higher utilities. OMB Director Peter Orszag made clear tax breaks those groups now get would no longer be a net tax cut, but rather aid to offset higher utilities.
That's one reason why we are linking the cap and trade program to making work pay, which is a tax credit for working families that would provide relief in their budgets over time.
But those tax cuts phase out at $75,000 in income. What about those between $75,000 and $250,000 who would also face higher prices for everything from utilities to gasoline? A question that came up today in a hearing with the Treasury Secretary.
And my question is, what Americans won't end up paying more for virtually every item they purchase because of this higher tax on energy?
You can't address the problems presented by climate change or dependence on foreign oil without changing the incentives people face for how they use energy.
So it's the price we have to pay in the administration's view, but as the debate unfolds, there are lots of questions about whether that price is too high. Brett?
It's one to follow. Jim, thanks.